Hello everybody, welcome along to Forever United TV, welcome back, good morning everybody if you are live with us right now or wherever you're watching from around the world. We've got all of your Manchester United updates here on the 6th of November, press conference day again, another Thursday press conference of Ruben Amorim. We'll bring you that live later on this lunchtime in and around 1 o'clock to 1:30 usually, so stay tuned for that later on as well. This morning's news is on how Manchester United, our top story, gets Elliot Anderson this January potentially. More from Laurie Whitwell, what he has been talking about and how this deal could actually happen for Manchester United. With a warning on top of that though, also we want to talk about Aidan Heaven's future at Manchester United, potential loan talk for him as well, concerns with Rasmus Højlund and his form over in Napoli. Should we be worried that we're not going to get that windfall and that money off Napoli? More on that. And I want to talk about the process the Glazers would be going through right now and the takeover. More talks on what is actually happening behind the scenes with that as well. So we're going to get into that at the back end of the show. So plenty to get into this morning as well. Want all of your live comments in with us as well live today. And of course, make sure you hit that comment box when the live is finished also. We've got quite a bit to get through in terms of the full day today. And interesting again, early kick-off on Saturday, Ruben Amorim electing to take the Thursday press conference. We'll see who is available. We'll get the confirmation on Leacher this lunchtime as well. So tune in for that one, everybody. We will find out how much Leacher's been training and if he is actually going to be involved in a squad this Saturday lunchtime. It's Thursday. We are literally only a couple of days away now from playing Tottenham, the last game of this block before international duty. So the build-up is starting to really gather momentum regarding that Spurs game. The fight for second place. Whoever wins goes behind Arsenal, and you are officially in the title race. Okay, yeah, moving on quickly. Elliot Anderson, let's start the day. Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing fantastically well. Get your comments in, please. Elliot Anderson to Manchester United. Laurie Whitwell going into a little bit more detail. When these shows happen, these podcasts, Whitwell, without tweeting out, you usually get a lot of information from them. Like we have done this week, we've covered what's been said from Andy Mitten, Laurie Whitwell, Carl Anker as well. And It's been a hot topic. The priorities, how Manchester United are going to go into the transfer market this January, what's been said. On top of that, you've had Jason Wilcox in his open interview with MUTV as well. A lot of stuff being put out at the moment and a lot of noise is going on. But I think Laurie Whitwell's is probably the most interesting one because of how he was saying that Manchester United make the deal happen. He was joking with Andy Mitten. We covered it the other day about him saying Elliot Anderson is definitely going to Manchester United. They're going to go for two midfielders. Certain players are going to end up being pushed out of Manchester United this summer as well. But he also did go into detail on how he thinks Manchester United's January transfer window is going to happen. How does Elliot Anderson happen this January? We give you all the reports and everything that's been said that United are going to go in and attempt to buy Elliot Anderson. A bold bid was going in and that was going to bring them to the table, Nottingham Forest that is, and we could possibly get a deal done this January. Still incredibly difficult, and I said at the time it was a 50-50 and some things would have to move into place, like Nottingham Forest's financial situation and then maybe being tempted into selling one of their key assets. We will see on that one. But Whitwell also from the United side of things and how Manchester United make a move. Now, remember from the interview yesterday, Jason Wilcox was saying that he is in dialect constantly all the time with the recruitment team. There are weekly meetings now going ahead with Ruben and Christopher Vivell talking about Manchester United, how they are going to approach the January transfer window, what deals they can get done, what parts need to be moved to make things happen. And this is where Whitwell has gone in on this as well, because he's also said that Manchester United need to move players out before any attempt to bring in any player is even going to happen. And he even goes down the road of saying that he only thinks a temporary move would happen. Could see United going for a loan deal. Well, Romano has said completely different to that, as we've already covered. He said that United won't go for loanees. Ruben Amorim doesn't want quick fixes. Laurie Whitwell of The Athletic is saying he thinks Manchester United could, and he's not said that we're going to. He said he could see Manchester United going for a loan deal, bringing somebody else in on a temporary basis if and only if Manchester United moved certain players out. Now, hot topic is obviously the obvious in the likes of Joshua Zirkzee and Kobbie Mainoo for that. And for Manchester United to facilitate a move for anybody, not just Elliot Anderson, but anybody, And Whitwell is very, very clear in what he says here in saying that he sees a potential loan move happening. Not mentioning permanent moves, not mentioning anything. We're bringing Elliot Anderson into this story simply because of what's been said this week already. And United trying to take advantage of a situation that could be developing at Forest financially. Look, there is lots of reports going out there at the moment, and some might be a little bit more by chance and just putting it out there, looking at the obvious. But look, when it comes to the facts, and we know where certain financial situations are with certain clubs and things like this, then you do have to look at that and say that that is definitely a situation that could develop into something. Would Forest be forced into making a move in January for a player? Look, it's only going to happen if Marinakis allows it to happen. It's only going to happen if Manchester United have got the room in the squad. I don't think they are looking to bring Elliot Anderson in or any midfielder in unless somebody is moved out. And that makes sense for room in the squad, and that makes sense because what is the point in telling Kobbie Mainoo, for instance, that there is a big plan and he's part of that big plan if you bring in another midfielder to play in that midfield ahead of him this January? Because if you are going to go out and get anyone in January, then he's going to be ahead of Kobbie Mainoo. Otherwise, what is the point in the player being there at all? Which adds to the speculation, of course, about Kobbie Mainoo leaving Manchester United. So any rumour of potential moves happening, like Ruben said and what Romano picked up on at the start of the week, what Andy Mitton said and what Laurie Whitwell said towards the back end of this week, now heading into weekend, is that Manchester United cannot really bring anybody in unless somebody moves. Where do we need to improve in our team? What areas of the pitch? Wilcox was talking yesterday about that, and it was made very clear that their discussions are on the must areas of Manchester United starting 11. Obviously, he bigged up the defence and the goalkeeper and the striker and what Cunha and Mbeumo have brought to Manchester United, but there are areas of the pitch that do need strengthening. They're not going to go out in January and buy somebody just to fill a space in the squad. They don't need a big squad because of the competitions that we're playing in, and there are already players there that aren't getting game time. Joshua Zirkzee and Kobbie Mainoo have not started a Premier League game this season. We're about to hit game week 11 and they're not going to feature this weekend either. Both unused substitutes at the weekend also for Manchester United. Joshua Zirkzee, I think it's the 8th or 9th time now that he has not come on off the bench and unused substitutes. Kobbie Mainoo has been used by Manchester United, but again, this is the second or third time that he has been an unused substitute as well. It is incredibly awkward and difficult to talk about the Kobbie Mainoo situation. We've said this before. The inevitable, I think, is there for everybody to see right now. Manchester United just don't have enough games. And there is no point in bringing a player in unless he's going to play. There's no point in bringing a player in unless there is room in this squad for him. And for that to happen, a player needs to be moved out. And that is a Kobbie Mainoo. That is a Joshua Zirkzee. It's more and more likely now that Joshua Zirkzee leaves Manchester United. He is, according to reports, as professional as he is behind the scene and isn't causing any problems at all, asking for a move away from Manchester United, and he's pushing his agent to get him a move out of Manchester. I cannot see a world in where Zirkzee stays at Manchester United at this point. You could say that he has got AFCON coming up, but AFCON finishes on the 21st of January, and Man United's players might not even get to that point. You're still then, just coming over halfway through the month of January and 2 weeks left of the transfer window, where they are just going to be put straight back down on the bench again and not used because United have other players there. And it is just going to be a continuation through the rest of this season. Players' values are dropping off, and players that Manchester United could be potentially using to sell to bring other players in that we are going to use, and that not being there because they're just doing nothing and they're not worth anything. And that's the problem that you've got. So if Elliot Anderson is going to happen, if we're going to bring up the story of him and that so-called bid from Manchester United potentially coming in this January in the window when it opens, then it is all going to be based around what Manchester United do in moving players on. And there doesn't seem to be too much movement in that area yet. Manchester United have been reported, as we've said, to want to block any move away. Ruben Amorim doesn't want anybody to leave Manchester United. Look, you can see and you can take what Ruben has said there and what's been reported from Manchester United, and you can run with that and say that's that. There's nobody else going to come in. There's nobody else actually going to be. There's nobody else who's going to be on Manchester United's radar this January that's going to come into United, because Ruben doesn't want to move the players on that are already here. So what's the point in bringing another player in? Is it a case of bringing a player in and that then forcing you to move somebody else out? Maybe. That could be it. But from these reports, Anderson is going nowhere unless somebody moves out of Manchester United, unless somebody is sold. There's only one player that comes under, and who really could leave United this January that would make Manchester United go out and bring somebody else in. Nobody wants to mention a name because nobody wants to put Kobbie Mainoo down, but it is going to be Kobbie. It's simple as that. He is the key to anything happening in January, it would seem. And Ruben, I feel, with talking to Jason Wilcox and what Wilcox was saying, is only going to move something forward if Kobbie Mainoo is out of Manchester United, potentially on loan. They've already blocked it once because they didn't have time to bring anybody else in. They looked at Conor Gallagher, and if Conor Gallagher worked out on loan in the summer, I think Kobbie Mainoo would have been out. I think he would have been gone. And that's how you've got to look at it, I feel. I just don't think United had enough time. It was in the last knockings of the window. Kobbie wasn't happy with his game time, therefore wanted to get the move away to get into the international fold over these autumn months, and he's missed every single international break. He's not been picked once for Thomas Tuchel's England side because he's just not playing for Manchester United. Inside, he will be looking to get a move away from Manchester United. No matter what's said and what's been reported, a player cannot sit on the bench constantly, and a decision will be made. And that might open up the door for Manchester United to move somewhere in January. But it is going to be a very, very interesting window because Manchester United are already bringing through the likes of Shea Lacey. So realistically, Zirkzee, I see leaving because of that. We know that Shea Lacey is going to start coming through. He's going to play in a similar position to what Joshua Zirkzee could be going for. I don't see Lacey going at wing back, I'll be honest, but maybe a hybrid in between. I don't know. But if we're bringing Shea Lacey through and he is going to be in competition for Brian Mbeumo's position potentially, then Zirkzee's finished. Simple as that. And then you're looking at Kobbie Mainoo. He's the only other one, realistically, that you could look at that could really impact what Manchester United do this January. I actually think that Manchester United don't want to loan Kobbie out. And this is just my opinion alone, but in the position that they're in, I think with the way that Kobbie is trying to go for a move, I just don't think Manchester United feel like a loan would even be worth it, and they would probably sell him. Sounds bad, doesn't it? It does, but what is the point of a loan for Kobbie Mainoo from Manchester United's point of view? I get it for us, the fans, and we want Kobbie to succeed. Bring him back in the summer, but Ruben's still going to be here, and United are going to bring in more players, like what Andy Mitten was saying. We're going for 2 midfielders at least, and you've got other midfielders coming through the ranks. So Kobbie Mainoo is not going to play. You might as well sell him if you are going to get rid of him. Who would buy him? I don't know. Everybody's going to look at the loan because it's an easy fix. He's on cheap wages, and it is dead straightforward for any club across Europe to take Kobbie Mainoo. And right now there are plenty of clubs out there that have got systems that Kobbie would fit into, but I just don't see the point in a loan for Manchester United side of things. I actually feel like United would probably prefer selling him. They don't want to, but I think realistically, for it to work, for what they need to do, push forward, I think they would prefer selling Kobbie. I would like him to play. I would like him to be in Man United's squad, and we're in Europe, but the circumstances dictate, and this season with no cup competitions at all for United, crashing out of the Carabao and having no European football, it is just, can Kobbie see past this one season and then see himself getting more game time next season, because United might potentially be in Europe? But then you're looking at Manchester United's results this season. He cannot impact anything while being on the bench, and therefore you're asking Kobbie Mainoo to then look ahead and say, right, I am relying on this team that I'm watching from the sidelines to get into Europe for me to have any future at Manchester United. And that is minor at that, because I'm still not going to start. I'm going to be in a rotation just when we get back into Europe next season, because this manager, quite rightly, is going to bring in 2 more midfielders that are going to be ahead of me, because the manager's always going to play the players that he has brought in and he's bought ahead of anyone that was already there. That's just the way that it is at football clubs. The situation, again, you can dig and dig and dig and dig and try and find your way out of this hole for Kobbie Mainoo right now. But the more you dig, the deeper it gets, and the more complicated it gets, and the more impossible it is to envisage a situation where Kobbie survives at this football club. He just doesn't. I'm backing Ruben Amorim, and I feel like if I'm backing Ruben Amorim, I'm going against Kobbie in a way. Look, it is football. We don't care as long as our team is successful. There are certain players that will feel hard done to. That's football. Unfortunately, I think Elliot Anderson will be the end of Kobbie Mainoo in any situation, whether it's January or whether it is the summer transfer window. Zirkzee, I think he's gone. And I think Shea Lacey and other players at Manchester United have seen to that. Look, he's not going to start Zirkzee ahead of Mason Mount. I'm sorry. And yeah, you could argue the point that Mason Mount might actually not be fit at some point. But you're looking at a 4-week period with no Mbeumo. And as soon as he comes back, he's straight back into that side. And you know it. 21st of December to, I think it's the 18th, or something like that. 18th, 17th of January. That is it. There is a few games in there for United to navigate, but ultimately, when you're looking at the future of these players at Manchester United, that's not really going to make a difference for their long-term futures going into the second half of the season. A 4-week break, yeah, take your chance there in AFCON. We need Joshua Zirkzee and Kobbie Mainoo then. We probably don't, is the way that I'm looking at it right now. And again, like what Laurie Whitwell says, people do need to leave to bring players in, but does that not just tell you exactly what is going to happen going forward as well? Elliot Anderson is Man United's top target. They want to bring him in January. They will attempt to bring him in January if they can, and that will spell the end of the likes of Kobbie Mainoo, Joshua Zirkzee. We will see. We will see. Different opinions on the likes of Whitwell saying it's going to be a quick fix, Romano saying it's not. It's interesting how that is going to develop as well. Let's get into the comments section on this. I've said enough there in the opening part of the show, everybody. Hope you're all doing fantastic. I can see plenty of people in the chats already. A morning, Adam. Score prediction this weekend, please. Oh, we're getting closer to the game. Thanks for the super chat, Keith. I did say last night, I think I went 2-1 United this weekend. Hopeful, blind hope. I find it difficult to put a score on this game this week. I said it on Sky Sports yesterday. I don't know. I can't see it. I can't put anything on. I don't know, with the way that Spurs are playing and the way that United are coming into this game, the form, the record against Spurs. I honestly do not know. We'll be talking more about that later. Don't forget, if you have just joined us, everybody, Ruben has his press conference today as well. We will be covering that live at lunchtime today. Another Thursday press conference for Ruben today. So that is all penciled in for later. Make sure you are subscribed to Forever United TV so you'll get your notifications when the presser comes around. We're expecting big updates on the Lisandro Martinez situation, whether or not he is going to be in the squad for Manchester United this weekend. Lisandro Martinez could play a big part in my next story that I'm going to talk about on the show this morning. But first of all, let's say hello to the chat and let's get some comments in here and let's see what everybody is saying. We need to get Bruno out in the summer. We cannot let a 31-year-old have preference over a 20-year-old. Well, we can. This is insanely stupid. Bruno is not our future. Favourites happening again. Totally disagree, Gehan, mate. I'm sorry. Like, Bruno Fernandes, when fit, could be the next 3 years of Manchester United if he gets to grips with what Ruben wants. And Ruben is the man to actually tame him. Look, Bruno's not been playing bad these last few games. And it's coincidentally been alongside Manchester United's best run in the last 2 years. So I'm not going to come in here and say that Bruno needs to go. I've said my piece before. If a big bid comes in for Bruno Fernandes, then you take that bid. But Bruno Fernandes right now is playing well for Manchester United, in my opinion. And it's not picking a older player over the future of this football club. Kobbie Mainoo has done nothing, and I mean nothing, consistently to convince me as a Man United fan that he's the future of this club. I want to see him given a chance alongside everybody else. But I'm sorry, if I'm comparing Bruno Fernandes to Kobbie Mainoo, I'm picking Bruno Fernandes all day long from what I've seen. And I'm not surprised. This is on Ruben, not Bruno, not Mainoo. This is Ruben. If Mainoo's competing with Bruno, see you later. He's gone. It's as simple as that. And look, you can argue with it all you want, but that is how it's going to be at Manchester United. If Cirkzee hasn't got a future at United, just sell him. Forget about loaning him out. Get some money in for him. It's if someone would buy him in January, Tomo, probably more, isn't it? Maybe a loan in January, mate, and then it's got a option or obligation to buy him in the summer. Would you take that? I think that's probably the most sensible way of looking at it. I don't expect big signings or big sales in January from Manchester United. Lose Mainoo for a 31-year-old Bruno. This is why Ruben has to go. He hates youth and loves favouritism. Not true. Really not true. He's playing Lenny Yoro, teenager. He used Aiden Heaven last year, teenager. Chido got a chance, teenager. Yeah, no. And I think going for a goalkeeper at 23... instead of a goalkeeper at 33 in the transfer window, says he's gone with the future again. And of course, a 22-year-old centre-forward in Benjamin Sesko over a 29-year-old Ollie Watkins definitely tells me that Ruben is not looking at favourites, and he is looking at the future of this football club. And again, he has to secure his job at the same time. What manager lasts 10 years at football clubs these days? Again, why people feel like they need to pick Bruno out in this. Look, the conversation is there to be had, but it's got nothing to do with Kobbie Mainoo's future. That's Ruben's situation. And I think right now, Bruno's a better option than Kobbie Mainoo. I mean, argue the point if you want. It would be nice to see a bit of change. And if Bruno, at the start of the season, like he was, playing badly, I wouldn't have had any argument with Kobbie Mainoo coming in for Bruno Fernandes. Because Bruno wasn't in form. But now he is. And you could say that, yes, I could hear the argument that he's let Bruno find his form again. And he's allowed Bruno that time to have poor games. And that wasn't fair. And you can argue that point, and that is valid. But then you would also say, Bruno's got a history of digging this club out week after week after week after week. And maybe Ruben thought, you know what? I'm going to allow this man who has given absolutely everything and had the right attitude and has been performing to the right levels for quite a few years now, the chance to actually find his way again. And he has, in my opinion, he has. Look, there's a lot of you that won't agree with me on that. I get it. I do. And I totally understand your arguments against him and what Ruben's doing. I really do. It's just my own opinion on that. I'm not right. You're not wrong. It is what it is. And I'm trying to make this as real as possible and as realistic as possible. Kobbie is not better than Bruno. And I'll argue that point with anybody every day of the week. And Kobbie has had moments, but he has zero consistency. And I made this point last season. Well, I want to see Kobbie succeed. I also have to look at the amount of times that Kobbie Mainoo started for Ruben Amorim last season and performed poorly alongside few other players. It's not that Kobbie Mainoo is going to turn this team around because he's replacing Bruno. If Kobbie was playing in place of Bruno right now, I don't think Manchester United would be in the top half of the table. Bold statement, you can say. I just don't. I don't. And look, you know me and you know my argument, and everybody will say, oh, Adam Bruno's your favourite. Look, I do like Bruno Fernandes. I like the way he plays. He's just my type of player and how I like football. I like that risk. I like constantly trying to play that killer pass. I like that football. Look, forgive me, I was brought up in the 90s watching Sir Alex Ferguson, who told players to go out there and just do something different, make something happen. Forgive me, I just like that football. And you can talk about tactics, you can talk about systems, you can talk about percentages, XG, and everything like that. Whew. Not to me. And that's the point I'm trying to make. Like, you're not wrong. I'm not wrong in my opinion. But that's just debate. I'm not going to say that you're an idiot for saying that you're not agreeing with me. Look, I get it. I do. I'm going to make the point back. That's all I'm saying. Manny says with a super chat, I've also gone 2-1 to United. That's a huge statement away with Leacher on the car. Is that on the cards you're supposed to say there, mate? But no game time this week. As for Bruno, at 31 years old, the engine, 10 times United, 20-year-olds don't at the moment. I think that's trying to say that even at 31, Bruno Fernandes is 20 times the player that... Oh, not 20 years, 10 times the United. I'm sorry, I don't get what you were saying. I sort of get what you were saying, but trying to describe it and explain it is proving very difficult. Cal says, for me, at this point, with Bruno now, is he shouldn't be playing that role. He's been better the last 3 games. Good is a push, but I would be playing Bruno over Mainu all day. We just don't have the player to replace Bruno, I think, is the debate. And Ruben's not comfortable enough with Mainu. It's nothing against him. Mainu fits in systems. He's an absolute baller. But right now, it's not working for Ruben. That's it. He's made his mind up. And there's nothing else we can do about it except debate what qualities he has got as a player and how he might come into Manchester United's side in the future. Reports that Barcelona want to sign Manchester United and England forward Marcus Rashford, 28 on a permanent deal, but cannot afford his 25 million purchase option in his loan deal. Well, he doesn't go to Barcelona then, and let's let Marcus Rashford sweat this summer. The most emotional fan base ever. How many young talents do City, Barca, Real, Bayern sell without batting an eyelid? Look, we do love our youth players, but he's got a good point there as well, Jude, there, in saying that at other football clubs, they do get rid of players. They're used as that financial benefit, the loophole in the financial fair play and PSR system. That's what academies are looked at a lot of now, in a way. Let me see what else we've got in here quickly before we move on. Let's move this on, actually, because we can keep the Kobbie Mainoo conversation going as well. But just wanted to talk about Aiden Heaven as well, because there's some reports going around, and I think they are probably brought up because of the situation again, and people are just doing a little bit of research in this. But Aiden Heaven is not going to play for Manchester United. Again, we've got another Joshua Zirkzee situation. I'm only talking about this because we've got Leacher coming back. Even with Mazraoui going out to AFCON as well with Morocco, you're still going to have Leacher coming back, and there's 3 centre-backs. There's 5 centre-backs. With Mazraoui out at AFCON, 5 centre-backs ahead of Aiden Heaven. So I'm going to ask the chat the question, and everybody who's watching later on, please get into the comment section on this one. Would you loan Aiden Heaven out right now and get him game time? Because again, he's not going to play, is he? I know that we need cover. I know we need squad depth, but have we not got enough at centre-back? Would it be better for a young player like Aiden Heaven to get game time elsewhere and maybe come back even stronger in the summer and be an option to not have to buy a centre-back like Andy Mitten said Manchester United are going to look at and prioritise in the summer? I still can't get my head around that one, but it does tell me that Manchester United, like I said last night, might be looking past Harry Maguire, for instance. And I think a loan move for Aiden Heaven right now would definitely benefit him and Manchester United, because I don't think we've got enough games to warrant keeping Aiden Heaven right now. I like the player. I really do like him. I want to see more of him. But at the moment, I'm not dropping Luke Shaw. I can't believe I'm saying that, but again, I'm just going to say it as it is. I'm not dropping Luke Shaw. I'm not dropping De Ligt. Maguire's ahead of him. Yoro's ahead of him. Mazraoui's there as well. Leacher's coming back. You know what I'm saying? Like, how does Heaven fit in this side? Unless we have one of Manchester United's famous central defender injury meltdowns halfway through this season, where we start losing all of our centre-backs again. Aiden Heaven is another question. Heaven, Mainoo, Zirkzee, good first-team players that just are not going to play for this football club from now until the end of the season. And they know it. Ruben knows it. We know it as fans if we're being realistic. And I think loans for the likes of Heaven would probably be the best thing right now. I would loan Zirkzee with an option to buy, because no one's going to buy him in January. And Kobbie Mainoo, well, That is the most difficult one of all. But I think loans with options for all of these players might actually potentially work well for Manchester United from January. And that gives us enough room to go out and really test Nottingham Forest's resolve with going to get Elliot Anderson. I would lose Heaven, Mainu and Xerxes on loan if it meant getting Elliot Anderson in this January. And I think Manchester United make the top 4 with that move this January. Bold statement, big one, clippable statement. I know, but that is how I would do it. None of them players are dead and buried. Could play well on loan elsewhere because they're not going to play for United. Gain value as well and experience in the case of Aiden Heaven also. And come back and actually give Manchester United something to think about. And if we do get into Europe, do we need to sell Harry Maguire at that point? Could he be a squad player? Could we then not just go out and get another midfielder to join Elliot Anderson? Look, we're playing FIFA a little bit and Championship Manager here, and it is all wishful thinking in a way. But still, tell me that situation isn't realistic. Someone tell me it's not, and tell me that I'm a mile away there in what I'm thinking and what could potentially happen here. Because Heaven isn't going to play, Xerxes is not going to play, Mainu's not going to play. Loan them all out, put options to buy on Mainu and Xerxes. I hate to say it, but that's the truth. Heaven will come back stronger. No loan option, no buy option for Heaven. I think he could actually be a really good player for United, but he's just not going to feature enough. And then Man United go all out and get Elliot Anderson. You're not getting much fee there in terms of loan fees or transfer fees to go out and buy Elliot Anderson, and it does all depend on what Manchester United have got left in their coffers from the summer, like we discussed yesterday. But if there is anything there and the space in the squad was needed before we brought anybody else in, I would lose 3 players and bring one starting 11 player into this side, 100%. That would be my angle on it. Let's get some more comments in from the live chats. It's a mark of progress that we are divided on a player leaving. We are all agreed on the bomb squad leaving. It's just part of the process. Great comment and super chat from Sean there. Completely agree with that. Manchester United fan base moving on in their arguments and debates because of Manchester United moving forward in a positive way. I think that is a sign of progress, like Sean said. 100% agree with that one, because beforehand it was the mess and the circus off the pitch, and now we're talking about the performances on the pitch, like proper football debate. It's good. It's healthy. It's healthy for us Man United fans to be in this conversation. And of course, like a big win at weekend, who cares about Xerxes and Mainu? United second with Bruno in the side, with Ruben not playing these certain players. Does anybody care? No, it's football at the end of the day. There are going to be players that go by the wayside. If you're successful, it's easier to handle that situation. And this is why we're all... And do you know what? There is a big element of hope in this as well, that this works for Ruben, because you can see this turning into a bit of a complication coming up to the January transfer window with these players. And if we are still hit and miss and bottom half of the table, then we are actually... going to be in a similar situation again, and it's going to be a bit more of a nastier atmosphere. Big change I found, and proof that the media and everybody else is looking at Manchester United in a completely different way. I got asked to go on Sky Sports yesterday, and it was based on what I thought was because Spurs were coming up this weekend, and Jamie O'Hara was on Sky Sports. I thought, are they going to bring me on here to have a debate with Jamie O'Hara here and fight out United against Spurs and who's better? Because at the start of the season, they had it out with him, and he was saying Ruben's not going to change, he's going to be sacked. I was arguing the point, if Ruben did change, then we would move forward. We have got players in this squad that can do it, and Manchester United can qualify for Europe. He was talking it up, saying that Spurs are a good side this season, they're going to be challenging for Europe. Manchester United are going to be cut adrift. And I'm arguing the point, I'm like, there's no way that Spurs did better business than Man United in the summer, and they finished worse than us last season. And that was my argument with it. And he would always debate it and say that United are done. And then I went on yesterday, and he just agreed with everything that I said. He couldn't say that Spurs were going to beat Manchester United. He said he's seen improvements in the structure and the way that United are playing. People are actually starting to recognise that there is a bit of stability coming back to Manchester United now. And this is going back to what Sean said in that comment there. And the conversation has changed completely. A win at weekend, it will send them into meltdown because they're going to have to drag something else up to try and dig United out. Notice how United are actually putting out more content as well as to how United are running now. The circus has left town. Again, we're making it clear to everybody, whether it's through MUTV or the way we're performing on the pitch or the way that Manchester United are operating right now. There is no more basket case Manchester United. That's what we're saying. Let's get into some more comments on that as well. Leacher is coming back from a major injury. That could go either way. Heaven needs minutes because he's ready now, unlike so many others in the under-21s. So yes, a loan is a good thing for Aiden Heaven. Would you loan Aiden Heaven out, people? Heaven gets into my starting 11 every week, 100%. Don't loan him out anywhere. Tomo, who are you dropping? You saying he's ahead of DeLitt? I don't think he is. It's a tough call. That's a big call, that one, mate. No, I would play Heaven ahead of Yoro and Shaw. Only DeLitt is ahead of him. Andrew, that is a big one as well. Is Shaw not playing well enough for everybody at the moment? United squad is not strong enough. Why sending these players on loan? Injuries and suspensions will cost us in the second half of the season if we send these players on loan. Will it, though? I don't know if it will. We're talking here about 3 players that haven't started a game all season. We're into game week 11. These players need to get minutes. And there is plenty of cover in our squad to cover these players. I'm sorry, there is enough there for me. And you are really looking at it in a way where it has to go to the extreme for these players to not feature for Manchester United. Yeah, don't get me wrong, by the way, everybody. Anyone who's saying that Aiden Heaven belongs in Man United's side, I think he has got fantastic potential. And I cannot wait to see him be a regular in Man United's side. I think he's shown last season maturity beyond his years. Look, I don't like the idea of him being somewhere else. But again, I'm just trying to put the realistic look on it and say, is he going to play? And he's not, is he? He's not. Let's just be real about it. We want him, and he has got a future at United. The other two, well, Aiden Heaven's got a better future at United than both Xerxes and Mainu. I'll say that. I think that's clear. But yeah, I do believe that Manchester United will be looking at potential loans out of the football club again this January also, just to give players minutes and help them progress, and obviously keep the value up there as well, importantly for Man United going forward. Concerns at Napoli with Rasmus Højlund's form. He's been out injured a couple of weeks, come back, not playing well. I don't think there's anything to be concerned about regarding Rasmus Højlund and that triggered obligation. He's played 9 games this season. He's got 4 goals for Napoli this season. It's not a bad return for Rasmus Højlund at all. And as a few bits of Italian media I've noticed, I've been picking up on his performances and then similar traits from them reports that Manchester United fans were bemoaning constantly last season. And look, Rasmus Højlund is what he is. He's had a bit of a purple patch at the start, which has put us in a good position. 9 games in. I think he obviously needs to play a few more games to get the full, consistently get the confidence up at Napoli. But obviously he has to play a certain amount of games, and Napoli need to qualify for the Champions League for that option to be triggered with Rasmus Højlund. I hope it does turn out to be that way and he does go. We don't need Rasmus Højlund coming back and then us trying to flog him on again. I really hope that he is successful at Napoli and that we do get that money for him in the summer. Look, he's playing enough games and Napoli are in a good enough position for us to feel comfortable at the moment. So let's look at it that way. Losing Kevin De Bruyne for Napoli is big, but this situation then folds into the Kobbie Mainoo one again. I think Napoli will try and push Manchester United very hard on Kobbie Mainoo with a loan with option to buy at the end of it. I really do think that that is the road that they're going to be going down, Napoli, now that De Bruyne is out for the foreseeable. Mainoo is just that perfect fit at the moment and a very affordable one for any club. Whether or not United can get a loan fee for him as well, look, that may benefit us also. His wages off the book, I know he's not on a lot, but just going back to Rasmus on that side of things as well. Look, I think it's massive for United's future that these loans that we've got right now also work really well. And I think Rasmus Højlund is still doing okay. I would like him to score a couple more goals just to make me feel a little bit better. But 9 appearances in and Napoli doing not too bad. I'm still quietly comfortable anyway. Balewell Justice says, for all the football I have watched and played in the last 25 years, it's clear to me Heaven looks better than Yoro and Mazraoui for now. I don't think Aidan Heaven's better than Lenny Yoro. I don't. I think he has got potential. And you know what? Maybe I'm wrong in that. Maybe I am wrong. Maybe he is. And because Lenny Yoro was bought for, 50 plus million, and Aidan Heaven was 1.5 million, is why Yoro's playing. That maybe he would just be as good as Lenny Yoro on the pitch. I can only judge it off what I've seen. I've liked Aidan Heaven in a lot of things that he's done so far since he's been at Manchester United. Maybe he should be getting more game time, but I think there is a pecking order at United under Ruben Amorim that would fuel the debate on Ruben's favourites again, obviously, but don't want to go down that road. I'm not opening up that conversation. Am I the only one who thinks it'd be faster for Gems to just... Oh, sorry, I'm talking into someone's conversation there. Sesko is barely any better than Højlund, probably a decent striker there, but he isn't the forward for our system. I disagree with that. I think Benjamin Sesko will turn into a good player for Manchester United. I do think people are overly criticising him at the moment, but I think he holds the ball up better. He's better in the air. He's stronger. He's got a better shot than Rasmus Højlund, and I think Benjamin Sesko will come into his own very soon. Not got enough games. I think we would have seen more of Sesko if we were in Europe. And I think that's where it's difficult to judge players as well. With United not having many games, I do think that it's difficult to sort of properly analyse players as well at the moment. What fee would you be looking for in regards to Mainu? His youth and promise means he could click and do well elsewhere. He will do well elsewhere. I don't think it's a if, mate, either, Ross. I think he will. I just don't think he fits our system. That's it. I'm not even saying that Kobbie Mainoo can't play for Man United. Of course he can. But if Ruben's going to persist with this setup, then he's not going to play him. So just accept the inevitability that Kobbie Mainoo is going to leave Man United while Ruben Amorim is in charge. Will Kobbie outlast the manager? It all depends on Man United getting into Europe, doesn't it? But Ruben at the moment is definitely seeing out this season from what's happened. We are a year in now. He's past that first year. I think we will pick up enough points to be in contention throughout the season. And Kobbie does need to find himself another club, mate. In terms of value for Kobbie Mainoo right now, he's a 50 to 60 million pound player. Of what we've seen, he's not any more than that. He is a potential player. And we've seen just enough to think that he is worth big money. I reckon he's a 50, 60 million pound. I mean, get into the chat, everybody. How much is Kobbie Mainoo worth? What would you sell him for if people were coming in and United were open to selling him? The great thing about Heaven is he seems to have a very mature attitude aligned to his great potential. A great example of the much more professional recruitment. Great comment, Stephen. Great comment, mate. A lot of pressure on him every weekend as 9 against Prem defences. Right, yeah, in terms of Sesko, get you Lawrence, mate. Rasmus wouldn't become a better player. No, he wouldn't, Graham. He was crap, mate. Honestly, I'm not even scared of saying that. He was awful. He could not control the ball, mate. His decision-making was horrendous. I'm sorry. Sesko all day over Rasmus Højlund. Thank you, Rasmus, but no thank you. Give me Sesko every single day of the week, mate, honestly. And I really don't want to go in on Rasmus Højlund on that, but Sesko is twice the player that Rasmus Højlund is. You can see that already, and I think people are going to always use Sesko in the debate against Rasmus Højlund. Look what Sesko's doing. He's not doing anything at the moment. I'm sorry. He is. He's doing plenty, and he's working in this system right now, and he's been a big part of Manchester United on this winning run. So, yeah, I'm all for Benjamin Sesko at the moment. He's a fucking 20 years old, and that was an FE there. I wasn't swearing. He should be being developed into the team and not thrown in the bin, because Ruben has discovered how much he has to spend at United. I get where you're going with that, Andrew, there in that way, but I think you're being a bit harsh in terms of how much Ruben has realised he's got to spend. He is being developed. Who's saying he's not? He's training behind the scenes, he's working on the system, and he knows what he has to do if he's willing to be patient. But if he's not willing to be patient and he wants to move away, then that's on Kobbie Mainoo. Ruben said he doesn't want him to leave. So you can't go in on Ruben Amorim with that one, Andrew, I'm afraid, mate. This is a decision on the player and his representatives, not Ruben Amorim. If Ruben's not going to play him, so bleeding what? Deal with it. It's Manchester United. You're not going to get a guaranteed place in this side. And Ruben has changed the standards at Manchester United, where he is looking at this differently. And if he doesn't fit into his system, it's just unfortunate at the moment. Kobbie has to work harder and is behind the scenes by all accounts. So it's not like he's not developing. It's just that Manchester United and Ruben Amorim are struggling to find a way to fit him into what he wants to do. It's like not playing Mason Mount. Mason Mount is a great player, but can't play in ahead of Cunha. Cunha's better. And Mbeumo is better than, let's just say, Joshua Zirkzee in at 10. Yeah, he is. But then players are still being developed behind the scenes. I think we do still need to bring in another striker, by the way. I think we do need support for Rasmus Højlund. For Joshua Zirkzee, sorry. I think he will develop better as well with more. I just don't think Manchester United rated Rasmus Højlund. I thought it was a mistake. And the fact that we tried to push him out and made it clear that he wasn't wanted tells you that behind the scenes, Manchester United just did not rate Rasmus Højlund. It was as simple as that. He was not a player that was going to succeed at Manchester United. And that was it. Quickly as well, just before we finish up on the Glazers situation and the Glazers talking a big piece in the Mirror this morning on how the Glazers operate. And it is coming to that time when they make certain decisions. They don't make decisions very, very quickly. So from where the news was broke regarding Turki Al-Sheikh's tweet and what potentially might be happening, it's gone quiet. But this is reportedly the norm for the Glazers in taking their time over making certain decisions. It's not going to happen quickly. And if there was anything going on, we're sort of entering the realms a few weeks down the line here into where the Glazers would normally make their decisions. This is the process that they use, and this is what they do when making any major decision around Manchester United or any of their sporting franchises or businesses that they've got. So as a family, they speak. 5 of the siblings that have got a stake in Manchester United take their time with everything. So don't just think that this has gone away and it was nothing. There is genuine interest in Manchester United. There will be people that want to buy Manchester United. It's just if it suits the Glazers, and whatever offer, if there was an offer, they would take their time in mulling over and making sure it fitted for them. So don't think that it's dead. Don't think that it is a non-starter. Just look at it for what it is and how the Glazers have always operated. And that's what the report is on this one, because it is going to take a bit of time. And let's be honest, for the Glazers to leave Manchester United, I think ultimately you're going to be looking at some massive, massive event here. And this isn't going to happen just like that. It's going to bubble up and bubble up and bubble up. And I do think Ineos are positioning themselves right now with everything. The stadium, the constant communication and transparency to the fans at the moment in how good things are. They're trying to make they're trying to make their own little statement at the moment, I think, Ineos, in showing that they are actually the best thing for Manchester United going forward. So that's how I look at this situation at the moment. Ineos positioning themselves. Still a call to be made yet from the Glazers, and we'll see how it develops. But yeah, that one I think is right. Like, they take their time with everything. We've known this for a while. So that report that's come out this morning, I think it was the Mirror that ran it, in one of the siblings talking about how they process decisions. Just give it a little bit more time to simmer, and let's see how that develops. But at the moment and where we are in the season, I don't think it's probably the right time either for a big decision to be made. But let's just see how this develops. If United make Europe, if they don't make Europe, I think ultimately, if there is any big decision on the ownership, I think it'll come right at the end of the season anyway. Okay, everybody, that is our show this morning. Thank you so much, mods. Fantastic job again. Thank you to all the super chats and everybody coming into the show this morning. The comment section was brilliant. Again, don't forget, later on, everybody, around about 1 o'clock, we're going to be covering Ruben Amorim's press conference live. It is back on a Thursday today, everybody. So that is coming up later on, everybody. Make sure that you're there for that one. I will see you then. Please do pop your likes on the video if you've enjoyed the content. And also make sure that you do get your comments in and subscribe as well. Join the journey with us here on Forever United TV. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you all at lunchtime.